Have you ever felt the ache of someone you love deeply pulling away, leaving you wondering if their love is real or if they're slipping away? What if I told you that, according to Carl Jung's psychology, a man who truly loves you may stay away not because of indifference, but because love is asking him to face the deepest parts of himself first? When we consider the first key note, shadow work and inner conflict, we enter the profound realm of the unconscious mind, a concept central to Carl Jung's psychology. Shadow work refers to the process of confronting the parts of ourselves that we deny, repress, or fear. These are often traits, desires, or fears that do not fit neatly into the conscious self-image we wish to present to the world. A man who loves deeply may be forced to confront these hidden aspects of himself because the intensity of genuine love brings the unconscious into sharp focus. When a man experiences deep emotional attachment, it can stir latent fears, unresolved trauma, or suppressed desires that he has long avoided facing. This confrontation can feel overwhelming and uncomfortable, prompting him to step back as a means of self-preservation. The withdrawal is not necessarily a rejection of love, but rather an instinctive attempt to navigate the turbulent waters of his inner world before fully engaging with another person. Jung emphasized that the unconscious is not merely a repository of negative traits, but a vital source of creativity, insight, and self-knowledge. Yet it is often the parts of ourselves we fear that emerge most powerfully when we are emotionally intimate with someone else. For a man who loves deeply, his unconscious might present fears of inadequacy, fear of being emotionally consumed, or anxiety about failing to meet expectations, both his own and those of the relationship. The intensity of love mirrors the unconscious back to him, revealing vulnerabilities that are difficult to face while simultaneously navigating a close connection. This mirror effect is psychologically challenging because it forces him to acknowledge parts of himself that have been hidden from his conscious awareness. Confronting these elements requires courage and introspection, and stepping away temporarily allows him the mental and emotional space necessary to engage in this internal work without harming the relationship. Shadow work involves recognizing these hidden parts without judgment, integrating them into consciousness, and ultimately achieving a more authentic, balanced sense of self. A man may recognize, consciously or unconsciously, that if he approaches love while these unresolved aspects remain unaddressed, he risks acting out projections or repeating past patterns that could damage the connection. His absence, then, is not a reflection of diminished affection, but a deliberate, albeit subconscious, strategy to achieve emotional clarity. In essence, he is creating a safe psychological distance to face his shadow, which includes confronting fears of loss, exposure, and emotional intensity. This self-imposed retreat is a sign of respect for both himself and the person he loves because it acknowledges that true love requires readiness and presence, which cannot coexist with unresolved inner turmoil. The process of confronting the shadow is often painful because it forces recognition of uncomfortable truths. Jung argued that the road to individuation, the process of becoming one's true self, requires this confrontation. Love, when profound, acts as a catalyst for this process. It stirs unconscious material that may have remained dormant for years, compelling the individual to confront fears, insecurities, or past emotional wounds. When a man withdraws while in love, he may be wrestling with these internal conflicts, attempting to reconcile his shadow with his conscious intentions. By doing so, he ensures that his love is not distorted by projections or unresolved personal issues, allowing for a healthier and more authentic expression of affection in the long term. Ultimately, the withdrawal observed in a man who loves deeply, when examined through the lens of Jungian psychology, can be seen as an act of psychological courage. It is a step back taken to process inner conflict, integrate hidden aspects of the self, and prepare for a more conscious and authentic participation in a relationship. This understanding reframes absence not as rejection, but as a necessary phase of emotional and psychological growth, one that is deeply entwined with the human journey of self-discovery and the maturation of true love. When we explore the second key note, fear of vulnerability, we enter a deeply psychological terrain, one that Carl Jung often illuminated through the lens of the unconscious and the human desire for wholeness. Vulnerability is the willingness to expose one's inner self, including weaknesses, fears, and authentic emotions, to another person. For a man who loves deeply, vulnerability is not a simple act. It represents a confrontation with the parts of himself he has long guarded. Jung suggested that true intimacy inevitably requires engaging with the unconscious, which includes both light and shadow aspects of the psyche. A man may retreat or create distance not because his love is absent, but because the act of opening fully to another human being triggers an intense awareness of personal fragility, emotional risk, and potential for suffering. This fear is natural and deeply human, and it is often intensified when the emotional bond is profound. Love, in its deepest form, acts as a mirror that reflects not only the qualities of the beloved, but also the hidden aspects of one's own psyche. When a man experiences profound attachment, he is confronted with emotions and desires that he may not fully understand or trust. These emotions can include fear of rejection, fear of inadequacy, or the dread of losing control over his own emotional stability. Vulnerability demands exposure to these fears, which can feel threatening to the ego. Jung emphasized that the ego is only one part of the self, and when it encounters the vastness of the unconscious, it can feel overwhelmed. In the context of love, this overwhelm may manifest as a temporary withdrawal, a conscious or unconscious effort to protect oneself from emotional overload. The distance is not a negation of love, but a necessary pause, allowing him to integrate these powerful emotions without allowing them to disrupt the connection prematurely. The fear of vulnerability is deeply tied to the concept of individuation, which Jung described as the process of becoming fully oneself by integrating unconscious material into conscious awareness. A man who loves deeply may recognize at some level that fully exposing his heart requires maturity and inner stability. If he has unresolved personal fears or traumas, engaging in vulnerability too quickly could lead to destructive behaviors such as emotional withdrawal, projection of insecurities, or reactive conflicts. By stepping back, he creates a psychological space to confront these internal challenges. This act reflects both self-awareness and a commitment to the relationship, as he seeks to avoid hurting the one he loves by rushing into emotional openness before he is ready to handle it responsibly. Moreover, vulnerability involves surrendering control, a notion that can be profoundly unsettling for someone deeply introspective or sensitive. Jungian psychology teaches that the unconscious often contains both creative energy and unresolved tension, and when we allow ourselves to be fully seen, we risk being confronted by these hidden aspects. A man may instinctively hesitate to enter this exposure, fearing that the intensity of his own emotions might overwhelm him or distort the relationship. This hesitancy should not be mistaken for indifference or lack of love. Rather, it is a manifestation of psychological caution, a deliberate engagement with the complexities of his inner world before committing fully to emotional transparency. Additionally, the withdrawal associated with fear of vulnerability can serve as an unconscious test of emotional depth and resilience. By creating distance, a man allows both himself and the relationship to encounter the reality of space, patience, and emotional self-regulation. This period of temporary separation often cultivates clarity, self-reflection, and the ability to approach intimacy with greater authenticity. Jung believed that the journey towards self-knowledge and wholeness requires confronting fear directly, and love can act as a catalyst for this confrontation. In this sense, the fear of vulnerability is not a barrier, but a preparatory stage, an essential phase in the maturation of both individual and relational consciousness. Understanding a man's distance through the lens of Jungian psychology reveals that his fear of vulnerability is deeply intertwined with his love. It reflects the complexity of human emotion, the necessity of self-reflection, and the courage required to confront one's own hidden fears. His temporary withdrawal is an effort to reconcile his inner world with the demands of authentic connection, ensuring that when he does return fully, his love is conscious, stable, and capable of enduring the profound intimacy that true love demands. When we examine the third key note, the need for individuation, we delve into one of the most central concepts in Carl Jung's psychology. Individuation is the lifelong process through which a person becomes fully themselves by integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. It is a journey toward self-realization and wholeness, where the individual learns to distinguish between the ego, which is the conscious sense of self, and the broader self, which encompasses both conscious and unconscious elements. For a man who loves deeply, the process of individuation can profoundly influence his behavior in relationships. He may consciously or unconsciously create distance, not as a rejection of love, but as a necessary measure to preserve and cultivate his own identity. This is particularly true when love is intense, as deep emotional connection can challenge one's sense of self and bring unresolved personal dynamics into the foreground. Jung emphasized that love has a transformative power, capable of reflecting both the strengths and the unacknowledged vulnerabilities of an individual. When a man experiences profound affection, he may notice aspects of himself he had not confronted before, his fears, desires, insecurities, or suppressed traits. The intensity of love can awaken unconscious material, prompting him to engage in introspection to avoid being overwhelmed. Without adequate self-awareness, he risks losing himself in the relationship, sacrificing his individuality for the sake of emotional closeness. In this sense, stepping back is an act of psychological responsibility. By maintaining distance, he allows himself the space to continue the process of individuation, ensuring that when he engages fully with the relationship, he does so as a whole and integrated person rather than a fragmented or reactive one. The need for individuation also reflects the Jungian idea that a person cannot fully love another until they have begun to understand and accept themselves. Love that emerges from incompleteness often carries projection, where unacknowledged aspects of one's psyche are attributed to the partner. This can lead to unrealistic expectations, conflict, or emotional dependency. A man who truly loves deeply may sense that he has personal work to do before he can offer a stable, conscious, and authentic love. The temporary withdrawal serves as a protective mechanism, both for himself and for the one he loves. It is a conscious or unconscious effort to reconcile his internal conflicts, integrate his shadow, and strengthen his capacity to love in a mature, balanced way. Jung also described the tension between attachment and autonomy as a central dynamic in relationships. A man who is deeply attached may still require solitude to preserve his individuality, because true intimacy is only sustainable when each partner maintains a sense of self. The fear of losing one's identity or being subsumed by the relationship can prompt a man to step back, not out of fear of the other person, but out of respect for the psychological necessity of individuation. This retreat is a way to nurture his inner life, confront unconscious material, and ensure that the love he expresses is grounded in authenticity rather than neediness or dependency. Moreover, the process of individuation often involves facing difficult truths about oneself. A man may need time to understand his emotional patterns, reconcile conflicting desires, or integrate aspects of his personality that have long been ignored. Love acts as a catalyst in this process because it illuminates the unconscious, making internal conflicts more visible. Without periods of reflection and distance, he risks reacting impulsively or projecting unresolved issues onto his partner. By stepping away temporarily, he allows himself the clarity and emotional stability necessary to approach the relationship with consciousness, presence, and the ability to offer love that is both mature and sustainable. In Jungian terms, the need for individuation is not a rejection of intimacy, but a prerequisite for it. Love demands self-awareness, integration, and emotional maturity, all of which are cultivated through individuation. The temporary distance taken by a man who loves deeply is a reflection of his commitment to this inner journey. It is a sign that he recognizes the responsibility of loving consciously, respecting both his own psyche and the emotional well-being of his partner. Through this process, he ensures that when he engages fully, his love is rooted in authenticity, balance, and the capacity to grow alongside the person he cherishes. When we consider the fourth key note, projection and emotional mirrors, we enter one of the most nuanced aspects of Carl Jung's psychology, particularly as it relates to love and intimate relationships. Projection is a psychological mechanism in which an individual unconsciously attributes their own thoughts, feelings, fears, or desires onto another person. This is a natural part of the human psyche, yet it can create complexity in relationships, especially when love is profound. For a man who loves deeply, projection can manifest in subtle ways. He may unconsciously see his insecurities, fears, or unfulfilled needs reflected in his partner's behavior. Love, in its intensity, acts as a mirror that reveals the hidden and often uncomfortable aspects of one's own psyche. The closer and more vulnerable the connection, the more pronounced these reflections become, which can create emotional tension and a sense of inner chaos. Jung believed that love is inherently transformative because it brings unconscious content to the surface. When a man is emotionally invested, he may begin to notice traits in his partner that trigger strong emotional reactions, traits that are often less about the partner and more about his own unresolved internal conflicts. For example, he might feel jealousy, fear, or doubt not merely because of external circumstances, but because these emotions mirror unresolved wounds, insecurities, or fears within himself. The process of projection is unconscious. He may not be aware that his emotional response is a reflection of his inner state rather than a direct reaction to the other person. This can create tension within the relationship and prompt him to step back, not to diminish his love, but to prevent the distortions of projection from influencing the connection prematurely. The concept of emotional mirrors extends this idea further. In Jungian terms, the people we love act as mirrors for our own unconscious content. Their words, actions, and even silences reflect back the unacknowledged parts of ourselves, whether positive potentials or unresolved wounds. A man who loves deeply may experience this mirror effect intensely because genuine affection opens the doors to vulnerability. The closer the bond, the more unavoidable these reflections become. In this process, he sees aspects of himself that he may not yet understand or accept, and this confrontation can be uncomfortable or even frightening. Distance, in this context, becomes a necessary pause, a space in which he can examine the projections he has placed upon his partner, differentiate them from reality, and integrate these insights into his self-understanding. Projection and emotional mirroring are closely tied to the maturation of love. Jung emphasized that conscious love requires awareness of one's projections. A man who recognizes that he is projecting fears, insecurities, or desires onto his partner, is able to take responsibility for his internal experiences rather than attributing them externally. This self-awareness allows him to engage in a more authentic and balanced form of love, free from distortion or unconscious manipulation. The temporary withdrawal is often a reflection of this psychological process. He steps back to reflect, integrate, and gain clarity, so that his love, when expressed, is conscious, intentional, and aligned with reality, rather than unconscious bias. Furthermore, the mirror effect of love serves as a profound opportunity for growth. By confronting the parts of himself reflected in his partner, he is invited to reconcile internal conflicts, integrate hidden traits, and move closer to psychological wholeness. Distance becomes a tool for introspection, a means of observing how his emotional projections might affect the relationship, and a way of preparing to engage fully with awareness and authenticity. Love, in this sense, is both a teacher and a mirror, revealing what is hidden and challenging him to grow. In Jungian psychology, the interplay of projection and emotional mirrors is not a weakness, but a natural and essential aspect of human relational life. A man who steps away while deeply in love is often doing so to navigate this complex terrain responsibly. He is engaging in a process of self-reflection, differentiation, and integration, ensuring that his love does not become entangled in unconscious distortions. By taking this space, he prepares himself to return with clarity, self-awareness, and the ability to love in a way that is conscious, authentic, and deeply sustaining for both himself and his partner. When we examine the fifth key note, testing the depth of connection, we delve into a subtle yet profound aspect of human relationships that Carl Jung's psychology helps illuminate. Deep love is not merely a matter of shared affection or physical proximity. It is a complex interplay between consciousness, the unconscious, and the emotional bond that forms between two people. For a man who loves deeply, temporary withdrawal can serve as an unconscious or conscious test of the relationship's resilience and authenticity. This behavior is not about rejection or disinterest. Rather, it reflects an understanding that true emotional connection is not sustained solely by presence, words, or actions, but by the depth and durability of mutual commitment, trust, and understanding. Jung emphasized that the unconscious mind communicates in subtle ways, often through symbolic actions and emotional responses rather than explicit verbal expression. When a man distances himself, he may be observing how the relationship withstands periods of absence, uncertainty, or emotional challenge. Love, particularly profound love, acts as a mirror, revealing both the strengths and vulnerabilities of those involved. By stepping back, he creates a situation that allows both partners to observe the stability and depth of their bond. How one responds to distance, whether with patience, understanding, or anxiety, can reveal much about the true nature of the connection. This process is not manipulative. Rather, it is a natural and unconscious method of assessing the resilience and maturity of love. Testing the depth of connection also involves observing how each partner engages with their own emotions during periods of absence. Jung believed that self-awareness and individuation are critical to sustaining meaningful relationships. By creating temporary distance, a man gives both himself and his partner the opportunity to reflect, to confront internal emotions, and to determine whether love is grounded in authentic attachment or mere dependence. He may be seeking reassurance not through words, but through the endurance of shared commitment and the ability of both individuals to maintain connection despite physical or emotional gaps. In this sense, love becomes a measure of emotional maturity, revealing whether the bond can withstand challenges without being fractured by insecurity, impatience, or projection. This testing also relates to the concept of conscious love in Jungian terms. Love that is fully conscious recognizes that presence alone does not define emotional depth. A truly deep connection is characterized by understanding, empathy, and the willingness to navigate periods of discomfort or separation without allowing them to erode trust. By stepping away, a man creates an environment where both partners are encouraged to engage with the inner life of the relationship rather than relying solely on surface-level interactions. The distance becomes a form of reflection, offering insight into the quality of the emotional bond and the degree to which each partner can sustain love without constant reassurance or external validation. Furthermore, testing the depth of connection allows the man to observe his own feelings and responses. He can assess whether his love is grounded in patience, empathy, and conscious choice, or whether it is reactive and driven by fear of loss or neediness. This self-observation is crucial in Jungian psychology, as it enables the individual to act from a place of awareness rather than unconscious impulse. By creating a space between himself and the beloved, he gains clarity on the nature of his emotions, the authenticity of his intentions, and the resilience of the relational bond. Ultimately, this testing of connection is an expression of respect for the relationship and for the process of deep love itself. It acknowledges that profound attachment requires patience, reflection, and self-awareness, and that the strength of love is revealed not only in presence, but also in endurance, trust, and mutual growth. The temporary withdrawal is a manifestation of psychological maturity, demonstrating that love can be both deep and conscious, capable of sustaining itself through challenges, uncertainty, and the unfolding journey of human emotion. When we examine the sixth key note, integration of unconscious desires, we explore a concept that is central to Carl Jung's understanding of the human psyche and its role in deep relationships. Jung emphasized that the unconscious is a vast reservoir of thoughts, feelings, instincts, and desires that lie outside of conscious awareness. These unconscious elements influence behavior, decisions, and emotional responses, often without the individual realizing it. For a man who loves deeply, his unconscious desires, ranging from fears and insecurities to long-suppressed longings, can create tension or hesitation in intimate relationships. He may choose to step back temporarily, not because his love is absent, but because he is in the process of recognizing, understanding, and integrating these unconscious elements into his conscious self. The integration of unconscious desires is a form of psychological maturation that enables a person to act with awareness rather than be driven solely by impulse. Jung argued that unconscious material often surfaces in relationships because love acts as a mirror, reflecting back aspects of oneself that have been ignored or denied. A man who experiences profound affection may encounter desires and emotions that conflict with his conscious intentions or ego-driven self-image. These might include fears of vulnerability, the impulse for control, unresolved patterns from past relationships, or deep-seated anxieties about intimacy. Confronting these desires without integrating them can lead to projection, misunderstandings, and emotional turbulence. By creating space through temporary withdrawal, he allows himself the necessary distance to observe these impulses, understand their origin, and begin the process of integration. This integration is not simply about suppressing or ignoring unconscious desires, but rather bringing them into conscious awareness in a balanced and responsible way. Jung saw this process as essential for individuation, the development of a complete and authentic self. When a man is in love, unexamined unconscious material can interfere with the authenticity of his feelings and behavior. He may act out of fear, projection, or neediness, which can distort the relationship. By stepping back, he is essentially pausing to reconcile his unconscious desires with his conscious values, allowing him to return to the relationship with clarity, stability, and a deeper capacity for genuine connection. The unconscious also contains creative and transformative potential. Jung believed that acknowledging and integrating these hidden aspects can lead to a richer, more nuanced experience of life and love. In conclusion, when a man who loves you deeply chooses to stay away, it is rarely a sign of diminished affection or disinterest. Through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology, his distance often reflects a profound inner process, confronting unresolved fears, integrating hidden aspects of his psyche, embracing vulnerability, maintaining his sense of self, and ensuring that his love is conscious, authentic, and enduring. Love, in its deepest form, is not only about presence but also about emotional maturity, self-awareness, and the ability to mirror and reflect both one's own and the partner's unconscious complexities. His temporary withdrawal is a sign of respect for himself, for the relationship, and for the transformative potential of true love. It is a pause that allows reflection, growth, and integration, ensuring that when he returns fully, his love is not only enduring but profoundly conscious, balanced, and capable of withstanding the challenges and depths of a genuine emotional connection.